What's up, everybody? This is Crystal, author of the science fiction series, the Sonarchy series, Twitch streamer, podcaster, content creator, stuff, whatever. I do a lot of it, and I am back with another book review. We are going to do a double-headed book review tonight. We're going to review two books that I have read, and we're going to start with the first one, Inferno by Dan Brown. Talk about Inferno. We're going to talk about Inferno first. Okay, so I am a huge Dan Brown fan. I read the Da Vinci Code back in the day, and then I remember liking the Da Vinci Code so much that I read his Digital Fortress, and I read a bunch of his other books. So I had taken a break from him for a while, and I was very excited to come back and finally pick up Inferno. And unfortunately, this book left me a little bit disappointed. I remember loving the Da Vinci Code, loving the history behind it, loving the pace of the novel. Like I said, I remember just, loving his writing style so much that I immediately grabbed his other books. I'm pretty sure that Digital Fortress was my favorite of his, but it's been, damn near 10, 15 years since I've read those novels, so I'd have to kind of go back and review, but I do have a distinct memory of really, really, really enjoying like his other works. But Inferno, unfortunately, fell really flat for me. It was also a reminder for me of why it's so important for writers to read, because he did a lot of things in this novel that I realized that I kind of did in my first novel, as far as the way that he kind of delivers information. That I don't want to do anymore. So it was really interesting to read it and go, gosh, that's kind of a quote-unquote mistake that I made, and to kind of, I don't even know what the right word is. But anyway, so let's talk about Inferno. It's another Robert Langdon novel. You dive right into this. The beginning of the book is great. It really, kind of captured me. It drew me in with what was going on and how he set up, the first 20 pages. I was really drawn into the story. And what's going on with Robert. I liked the premise around it. It's kind of not your typical setup in that the quote-unquote villain goes away fairly quickly to be replaced by this other kind of, and I'm going to try not to give too much away, kind of replaced by this other shadow organization, and Robert goes through some stuff where he doesn't really remember what's going on with him and why he is where he is. So it's a lot of retracing his steps and repiecing his journey. And then obviously the book is really a race to try and grab this device that apparently is going to cause this, what they think is a plague, and wipe out mankind. And I actually think we're probably going to get a little spoilery, because I do want to talk about the end and some of the good things that I kind of thought that the book kind of did towards the end. So there will be, so warning right now, actually this kind of will be a little bit of a spoilery review, but I'll warn you before we get there. So unfortunately, what really bothered me about this novel is that once we kind of get past the beginning and the beginning excitement, and kind of there's this really awesome chase scene, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? How did he get here? You're kind of wrapped up in all of that. Then it really devolves into what I felt was a very heavy-handed history lesson. This book really almost felt like Dan Brown was saying, hey, I know all this stuff about Dante and Dante's Inferno, and I know all this stuff about Italy and, and Venice, and, where they're going through. And so I found myself getting bored, to be completely honest. I feel like history buffs will absolutely love this book, because Dan Brown he goes nuts. Absolutely nuts with just spilling it. And I felt like he gave us more than I needed to know to push me along in the story. Like, I don't mind, him using his knowledge of these locations and these places and this history to kind of provide context for me, but it felt like too much. Like Robert, in a lot of scenes, he'd be going off, he'd look at something, and then he'd remember something that he did 20 years ago, or however long it was, where he was here, and he saw this, and he saw that, and he did this presentation on this, and none of these things really had any bearing on the story itself. Like, it was just information given to me for the sake of giving me that information. So I found myself, unfortunately, skimming a lot. So if you're a history buff and you love that kind of stuff, then you will gobble this up. And it, you know, like, it's not that I'm not, but it was, for me, it was too much. Like, if I wanted a history lesson on Dante's Inferno and these sections of Italy, then I would have picked up a history book. That's not why I picked up this book. So yeah, it was hard for me to get through it. And to be completely honest, towards the end, I was so kind of like over it that I skipped about 20 pages at the end of this book. I kind of was like, I don't even care. I'm skimming. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, they found the thing. Okay. And then I think I read like the last 2 chapters, and I was like, okay, I'm cool with the way that ended, but it didn't give me any desire to go back and read the large section of the ending that I skipped. So that was that. I really liked the character, though, of Sienna Brooks. I thought she was really well written. I liked the motivations of the quote-unquote villain. I like the idea that overpopulation is like this huge problem and scientific minds need to solve it. I liked the character, her name is, I believe, Elizabeth, who was in charge of the World Health Organization. I liked her character a lot. I thought she represented a mindset that I found really, really interesting as well. Sienna's character, she kind of moves, you think she's one thing, and then you think she's another thing, and then you find out she's this other thing, which was well done. It was really well done, I thought. I enjoyed that a lot. And I guess we're not going to get too spoilery, because I will say that I really enjoyed the final kind of theoretical talks that kind of happen at the end of the book, where this quote-unquote play gets released, and you realize that it's not quite what you thought it was, and is what, now, and how do I word this? So it's not quite what you thought it was, but the thing that it is that really so bad? Is it a necessary evil? Is it something that needs to be cured? Is it something that even can be cured? You know, so I almost thought that the aftermath would be an interesting thing to explore and maybe spend a little bit more time on, more than all the other kind of bloated history lessons that kind of happened in the book. So if you're a Dan Brown fan, I will say that it's definitely worth a read. But for me, not my favorite book. Not my favorite book. I thought it had some really great elements to it. Dan Brown really is really good at pacing when he stops trying to, I guess, just hammer the fact that he knows so much about this, and oh my God, you must know all this stuff about Dante and all that kind of stuff. But when he kind of steps away from that, he's really good at pacing. He's really good at character development. He's really good at characterization. I think that his wealth of knowledge of these topics is a great addition to his writing. I just think he kind of went a little bit overboard here, and I really liked the kind of theoretical discussion about this plague and what it would entail. In fact, I would almost have liked that type of kind of the situation that happens in the end to have happened sooner. So there could have been, I guess, more angst, conflict, maybe more time spent on the aftermath. I almost think that could have made a really, really, really interesting story. Maybe could have been a good, maybe 200 or so pages that could have been explored. That could have been kind of, I don't know, kind of the after effect of this. So that's it. Like I said, not my favorite Dan Brown book. Really glad I read it, though. Again, as a writer, it gave me a lot to think about as far as writing does. And, Dan Brown, he's really awesome. He really is. I do like a lot of his other works. Just not a big fan of Inferno. Haven't seen the movie yet. Heard it got bad reviews. I guess I'll grab it if it's on Netflix or something. So there you go. Very quick, fast and dirty review of Inferno, another Robert Langdon adventure. Go and grab it if you are so inclined. And just remember, be prepared. You're going to get a serious history lesson about Dante's Inferno and certain sections of Italy. You've been warned. You've been warned. All right, let's talk about Arena Mode. So Arena Mode is written by Blake Northcott. An author I was introduced to through the Who Would Win podcast. Shout out to Who Would Win. Woo woo. So I was introduced to her, followed her on Twitter, saw that she was writing some stuff. I enjoy her tweets. She's pretty funny. I appreciate her author website. It's really well put together as a web designer. Good job there. So I saw that she'd written some stuff. I did not know that she had so much success on Kickstarter, so very cool on that end. She funded her first 3 novels, I believe, completely through Kickstarter. Won some awards, all that good shit. Check her out, definitely. So let's talk about her book, Arena Mode. Arena Mode is pretty much a superhero version of the Hunger Games. It's a lot lighter, definitely a lot lighter, though it does have its moments of feels, definitely does have its moments of feels. But it's almost like, and I don't say this as a critique in the novel in any way, but it's like a CW version of the Hunger Games with superheroes. So it's a really, really interesting concept. So let's kind of dive into it here. Your main character, his name is Matthew Mox. Moxon. Y'all know how to do names. His name's Matt, okay? His name is Matt, and I have mixed feelings about Matt. On the one hand, I think he's this really cool dude. On the other hand, he kind of drives me crazy. So because I believe this is, I'm pretty sure this is a YA book, I feel like that works because he definitely has that. He has his moments where you just kind of want to throat punch him. You really kind of just want to throat punch him. But I like that about his character as much as he kind of just. I don't like about his character, if that makes sense. Like, and my dislike of him sometimes is not in any way a reflection of the writing. I think he's written very, very well. He has his moments where you root for him and he's really good, and then he has these other moments where you're just like, dude, and I could say dude for like 20 more times. The supporting cast around Matt is very cool. I really liked Gavin. That's like his best bud. And then his best bud's sister is named Peyton, Matthew's quote-unquote love interest. I needed to see more of her in this book. She's the only character that I have a little bit of a nitpick with, in that she almost feels like a plot device at times, like she's there just to kind of give him a pep talk and kind of explore that side of him without giving her any real, I don't know, I needed a little bit more from her. And how she is just so upset, how she is just completely unrelenting, accepting of his bullshit at times. Like, she doesn't even get mad about it. Felt a little unrealistic to me, but that could just be her. It definitely could just be her, but it felt kind of weird. Like, I felt like she could still be like this amazing, positive, like super supportive character that just understands that he just is going to say ridiculous things and act ridiculous ways sometimes. And I feel like you can still like have moments where, I guess, I don't know, you're just human and you're just like, wow, really? Because he says some hurtful things sometimes to her. Like, he does, and he does some hurtful things, and she's just like, it's okay, like, so that was kind of weird for me, but I liked her character. I would have liked to have seen more of her character, delve into a little bit more about her. Gavin felt a little more fleshed out than she did. You felt a really strong sense of Gavin's personality and kind of where he stood with things. And I felt like he complimented his best friend really well. He's got a really interesting background too, Gavin does. So I really like to. I hope that's explored more in the other books. There's 2 other books that I fully intend to read. So that's the characters. Cameron Frost is an interesting character, and I won't. Again, I'm trying to do with this without spoiling. You learn some stuffs about him, and I liked him a lot. And I liked disliking him a lot, especially at the end. And you kind of got wind of his bullshit and kind of how he was kind of running this, and you kind of saw the twist coming. So you're not like completely surprised by it, but it's interesting. It still kind of took me surprised a little bit, like, oh shit, no, really? Okay, that's cool. But he definitely pissed me off in a really good way. And he didn't start that way. He started out as like this interesting character that you kind of weren't sure about. So you kind of like, your spider senses are like tingling a little bit with this dude, but you're like, okay, I see you. And then towards the end, you're like, oh, this motherfucker. You like that. So He was really well written. I really enjoyed the superhero battles inside of the arena. The story really picked up, and I thought really shined its best once Matt got into the arena. Everything leading up to that, it wasn't boring by any means. I kind of enjoyed the journey, but it definitely felt like um, this is the step to get here, if that makes sense. But not in an unenjoyable way. Not in an unenjoyable way. It was interesting. It kept my attention. I moved along, and then when you get to the actual arena and all the superheroes start fighting, that was really cool. I really liked the superheroes, even though a lot of their super abilities kind of really reminded you of their comic book counterparts. You can kind of see how this dude is that guy, and this dude kind of has the powers of this dude or whatever. At the same time, I thought Blake did a really good job giving them motivations that made them stand out. So, I mean, you can only have, so many superpowers, right? But the motivations behind these characters and their personalities, I thought were really, really well done. When people died in the arena, it didn't hit me the way, it kind of did in the Hunger Games when people fucking die in the arena. You're like, oh my God, this is fucked up. But at the same time, it did a little bit like some of these characters, you felt something for them. And that's really a testament to Blake's writing of them, because I thought, you didn't spend a lot of time with some of these characters. So for what it was when they died, for you to be like, oh damn, that's fucked up. It was good. It was good. So the arena stuff was really well written, really good pace to that. A lot of times, so Matthew has a kind of a secret in that he is not a superhero. He does not have these powers. So he goes into this tournament for a whole different set of reasons, which I will not spoil. I feel like you should just read the book. So how he kind of navigates things, that I really enjoyed. I thought Blake did a really good job of making it kind of quote unquote realistic, how he survives being pitted against like all these other superhero people. I thought that was really good, because I feel like a lot of times authors will like make these uber fucking villains, and then your hero gets up to this uber fucking villain, and now you've got to find some fucked up contrived way for them to win because you've written yourself into a corner. So she did a really good job in that she did not do that. I bought it. I bought every time he beat somebody or didn't beat somebody. I thought that was really cool. I'm hoping in the second book it explores a little bit more of kind of the aftermath of maybe kind of how his mental state is having survived the arena, because that part felt a little rushed to me. Maybe not rushed. Maybe I would have liked to have seen a little bit more attention, kind of explored, kind of paid attention to, a little bit more attention, paid attention to it. Those are words. Yeah, that's fine. We'll use that. Just meaning like, how Matt's character is and kind of who he is before he goes into the arena. And then he gets in the arena and he sees some fucked up shit. He really does see some fucked up shit. And I know because it's so fast paced and he doesn't really have time to process, that he can't really be like, oh my fucking God, that's somebody's leg right there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that gets explored a little bit more kind of in the second book. I would definitely like to see a little bit more than that. Cause he doesn't really have too many mental breakdowns or anything like that. So, I mean, you don't really have time in the arena. Like it was really fast paced, and Blake did a really good job with giving you that kind of sense of urgency that you kind of just got to get over it. You got to get over it, and you got to like keep moving because fucked up shit is happening. So there was this nice little level of intrigue that she also added to the fight, which I thought kind of set it apart as well, which was really cool. So kind of like a mystery that it wasn't like this huge thing, but it was kind of like this interesting underlay that had to be figured out. Who Matt hooks up with in the arena, that character whose name is escaping me because I just don't do names, and y'all know I don't do names, so it's not a testament to the writing. Y'all just don't know I don't fucking do names. But the character who could not take physical form, I liked her a lot. I very much enjoyed her character. She was cool, although she felt a little bit like Peyton. I felt like a little, but I feel like that's more not because the chick he meets in the ring wasn't fleshed out, but I feel like Peyton could have been more fleshed out. So here's hoping we get a little bit more of her in kind of the second and third novels, depending upon what happens. But highly recommend Arena Mode. Highly recommend. I felt like it was a really fast read. I got through it, I believe, in like 2 nights. I got through it. So it was really good. Really held my attention. It was fun. It was definitely a fun book. Definitely a lot more lighthearted than The Hunger Games. So if you like superhero stuff, you will definitely enjoy this. And I wasn't sure if I was going to want to read more. Not because I didn't like the book, not because I didn't think it was my speed. I don't know. It's just I just wasn't sure if the ending of this would make me want to read the other 2 books. And Blake did a really good job when now I'm invested. Now I'm hella curious because of the way that she ended it. So smart writing where there kind of needs to be smart writing in this. So now I'm like, now I gotta read the second one because I'm like, this is interesting. She did it was kind of it's an unexpected plot point. Like I didn't expect that to be the reason that's going to make me read the second book. So I didn't expect it to be, and you kind of get a glimpse of this in the book with this certain superhero and who he is and why he's doing what he's doing. So I didn't expect kind of his background to be the tie-in to, okay, and here's what's going to go on in the second book. And I don't know if that's going to play heavily in the second book, but the way she ended it makes me be like, okay, now I gotta go see what's up. Good job on world building as well. I like the little hints as to kind of how humanity is dealing with superhumans and kind of where humanity is and kind of the laws around humanity. I like the little quote-unquote news quotes that she kind of inserted in that kind of talk about the arena or give you insight into certain characters. I thought that was really cool. It was almost like reading like magazine articles about stuff. It's like finding lore in a video game is what it felt like. It really felt like finding lore in a video game, reading like kind of magazine articles about, the superhumans or the dude that put on the tournament and that sort of thing. So that was really cool. So enjoyed Arena Mode a hell of a lot more than I enjoyed Inferno. Had no problem getting through it. Did not drag ass through it at all. Like I said, my only critique would be the character of Peyton. That would literally be my only critique on the book. Other than that, really, really enjoyed it. I am looking forward to the second one. So that's it, guys. That is our doubleheader book review for you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. You guys know the drill. If you like these videos, subscribe them, like them, share them. Shout out to all my patrons on Patreon. You guys get this first before everybody else. And I will going back to just producing more creative content for you guys. I've got some fucking writing myself to do and a lot of other stuff that is coming out. Obviously, the Woo Era podcast, all that good stuff. You guys know where to catch me. The information is all over the screen. It's all over the screen. The information and down in the info panels. You guys can find out where to connect with me. So definitely tell me what you guys thought of Inferno. If you read it, I'd love to have a conversation with anybody who's read Inferno, especially about the ending of that book and kind of what it meant. And anybody who wants to chat about Arena Mode as well, let's do it. All right, you guys, love your faces, and I'll see you next time.